Testing. Meow.
Meow.
Hey, what's up, guys? James and Cuervo from Junkyard Fox. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we're going to be answering a couple of viewer questions. It's going to be a Q&A video, so it's going to be very simplistic, something of a breather. These last couple of months have been very fun, a ton of traveling, a ton of filming and adventures, but it can get a little overwhelming. You can start feeling a little bit of burnout, to travel, film and, all that stuff, come back, edit, put it out, go do it again. It can get a little overwhelming. So we're just going to have it easy today because we have a very heavy video to film next week. So we are going to be answering 11 viewer questions. We had a lot of great questions, but some were, as always, they're going to be a little redundant. So for those of you wondering, I got this question a lot. When did you start doing bushcraft? Who inspired you? So on and so forth. I'll have the link to that video up here. Many other people asked, how did you meet Cuervo? When did you meet Cuervo? So on and so forth. I'll answer that question on this video right here. And just generally, I have a playlist of our Q&A videos if you want to check them out. We only have about 5 videos, so don't think that you're going to be rummaging through a ton of videos, to get your question answered. But, I'd rather just answer new questions. So with that being said, I hope you guys are so inclined to join us. Pull up a chair, get yourself a drink, and let's get started. So question number 1 comes from Ben from the Living Survival YouTube channel, who asks, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Well, before we begin that, I just want you guys to know that I'm not a zoologist. I am not a biologist or a professional of any sense. So, don't quote me on this, But a woodchuck is in the marmot family. They evolved sometime around the Pleistocene period, the Pleistocene era. So that's been several millennia, about 3 million years of just evolution, specialized evolution to chucking wood. So my best guess would have to be a lot. So I hope that helps you out, Ben. Question number 2 comes from Blue Shirt Beadworks, who asks, any plans for putting out CDs, please?
Well, the answer to CDs is kind of simple, I guess. The what you put into it, you're not getting enough back, kind of thing. I know it's I guess it's a traditional way of listening music, which with vinyl and things like that. But no, there's no plans for CDs anytime soon. But there is a giveaway I'm doing by the end of this month, and I'll just go into the next one. But it will involve CDs, some leatherwork, and a hatband, some pretty cool stuff. And but if you don't want the CDs, you could always go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Deezer, Bandcamp. Am I missing one?
SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud.
Yeah. And
they're free to use. Just pay monthly or just don't pay it at all. And we both get something in return. And any kind of share or like, anything like that is appreciated, guys. And that's it.
Going back to the old days, I remember back in like the first 2 years of Junkyard Fox when he had first made the album Dust and Bone, and we actually made CDs. I think we made about 40 CDs in total, and we made a booklet too to join the CD, and this was it. Blast from the past right here. And with these, we'd have some artwork, and Cuervo would write his commentary on each track, what inspired him, all that stuff. I would have some sketches. It even, this is where the beginning of our logos that are now on our merch store started. The Junkyard Fox logo and one of the Cuervo logos. Once again, going back to the first album, Dust and Bone. Very fun to do, but it is a pain in the butt. To buy CDs, then ship them out, to go print these things out at Kinko's. It's just very time consuming. So, in the world of streaming and stuff, as much as we would like to be old school, it's just very time consuming.
Oh, and the giveaway will be on Instagram.
Instagram giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
So question number 3 comes from Stephen Fowler, who asks, what is the most absolutely necessary skill to build for the new Bushcrafter? And what is the most overhyped piece of kit? Okay, so we can talk about all the technical things like making fire, primitive shelter building, all that stuff all day long, but I think they've already been covered by everybody and their mother. So my personal belief is it's something more mental, and it's the skill to be comfortable being alone, to learn that, that piece to be alone, because we're as humans a social species, and especially nowadays 90% of us are city slickers. No matter how much you think that you're antisocial or whatever, you're used to hearing traffic sounds and music off in the distance. You're used to seeing light sources from street lights and cars and buildings, and once you're separated from that, at the very least the first couple times, you're gonna kind of get the heebie-jeebies. When all of a sudden your only light source is the campfire, your flashlight, and the moon. And at night when you're sleeping, you start hearing rustling in the night, and around your camp, and you wonder whether it's a bear or intruders or this and that. We just gotta kind of teach ourselves, kind of ingrain ourselves past that, and get comfortable being alone. And once you lose that, a little bit of that panic, that's when you're free to really like enjoy nature and really immerse yourself in it. And it teaches you a new level of coolness that you didn't have before, I think. So yeah, being comfortable being alone while you're out there. As for the most overhyped piece of kit, this is where I'm about to get canceled. All right, but the knife. I love knives. Everybody knows that. You love knives. Everybody loves knives. All right, but God, is there one thing that people just keep talking about is knives, and they get so caught up in this. If it's not 3V, I don't want it. If it's not full tang, I don't want it. It has to be this thick. It has to be able to do all this chopping, and just I think it's ridiculous. Like, our ancestors millions of years ago were running around with sharpened rocks and sharpened bone on sticks, and they were doing way more hardcore stuff than cooking ramen in a trail. They were fighting off saber-toothed tigers, leopards. They were fighting off opposing tribes. They were making friction fire. They were making pelts for clothing. Way more stuff, with just pieces of sharpened rock. And here we are arguing whether, a 1095 knife is good enough for survival, and people just get so caught up in these things. Now, we live in the golden age of technology where we can get so much new materials and from new makers and new designs, and that's amazing. That's awesome. But I honestly think so many people get caught up in knife talk, and they're not even, raising their skills. There's not a doubt in my mind, somewhere out there in the world, there's a dude with 300 knives, all awesome collector's pieces, fancy stuff, and they've skinned not one trout with it. They've not skinned one rabbit with it, and I'm like, well, how are you raising yourself in terms of skills? Gear is not enough, So, yeah, I love knives, but guys, once again, take it back to the Lewis and Clark expedition, who embarked on this great journey, and they had these very skinny half-tang butcher knives, and they managed to do it. So you'll be all right. You'll be all right making your ramen noodles out there. So, yeah, a little bit of a rant that just happened. Question number 4 comes from BuzzkillWR, who asks, my question is for both of you. Is doing these videos like a dream come true, or is there something more you still want to do? This is most definitely a dream come true. I mean, when this channel first started, I really just wanted to make about 5-6 videos and be done with it. Just kind of get it out of my system. I idolized Dave Canterbury so much, and a couple of other YouTube channels at the time. So I wanted to try that. But then it just took off and, developed a life on its own. My buddy Cuervo joined in, and it helped make the channel even more unique. And we got to travel. We've been, these last couple of years, so much of our lives have been altered from being able to, do all these skills and travel to new places and meet interesting, great people that can teach us things. And it's just amazing. And now, people are walking around wearing our logos on their shirts and stuff like that. And it's such a humbling experience, 2 comic book geeks from West Texas. And we even get money out of it. I'm not saying we're driving Ferraris. I'm not saying we make a ton of money, but heck, we're getting paid to do what we love. That's so amazing. As for what else we would like to do, I mean, we're both creative people. So, I mean, I've always wanted to do more in terms of like directing short films, directing music videos. We will be filming a Cuervo Negro music video sometime in around September or October. We just been hit with setbacks in terms of like COVID and all that. But I mean, I've written about 4 stories about Cuervo Negro, like short films, but lack of resources, lack of time, unforeseen circumstances. But yeah, I would like to film. I'd also like to write. I'm very much a writer at heart, and yeah, I'd like to eventually make another YouTube channel involving like probably just geek stuff, like Boba Fett stuff. You know, something not involving bushcraft, but just if you guys saw with my buddy Gangsta Pups, we would have like reviews on Mandalorian episodes. So yeah, so many things I still want to do.
Well, for the answer for me, well, I guess for the YouTube part, it all started off with James telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, dude, just put my music on there, let's see what happens. And well, it's been an experience for me, and I always believe that you should put yourself in uncomfortable positions to see how you react and how you adapt to things, and yeah, and I get to do it with my best friend, and it's changed me and it's changed the music. So it's been more of an experience, I would say. And I wouldn't say it's a dream come true, but it is fucking cool to do. And well, what I would really like to do is just be more musical and just become more in tune with a musician. I guess you can consider myself a musician already, but just focus more into that career-wise, and yeah, just see where it goes. Yeah.
So, question number 5 comes from Scylla Loves to Fish, who asks, does Cuervo have a girlfriend? What about James? Any females in either of your lives besides mommies, aunties, or nanas? Just wondering. I'll take it first because I'm the bitter one. I don't have a girlfriend right now. I was in a long-term 6-year relationship, and then we called it quits in 2018. We just had grown to be different people, believed in different things, wanted different things. We're still friends, but yeah, that was just like the last time I was in anything serious. Since then, I've had a couple of flings, but nothing of particular importance. And when the whole COVID thing happened last year, like around February, it really opened up this opportunity for me, to make the best out of this crappy situation and really focus on Junkyard Fox. Focus on it as a brand. Grow not only as an outdoorsman, but as a businessman. And really, just make something out of it, and that's where I really focused. And to this day, I'm really focused on that. And yeah, I really haven't spent much time, dating or anything like that. I do it once in a while, but it's few and far in between these days, honestly. And if I find that special lady that's just going to be this perfect match for me, that challenges me, that supports me as I would support her with her dreams, then by all means. But I'm by no means at this moment looking for that. I'm kind of just, once again, I got my mind on, the channel and how we can grow and what opportunities may come from it. So here comes my boy Cuervo.
Well, there is a special lady, and if you're watching, but the life outside of Cuervo Negro is a little bit private. Sorry. And that's it.
Question number 6 comes from my boy, Troy Jenkins, who asks, first question is a little redundant, so I will ask 2 for the both of you. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? And if you could visit the time of the dinosaurs but could only see one, which one would it be? My superpower is to replicate myself. If I can, make replicas of me, I'd be the hive mind, and I just have mindless James clones, I would totally do that. One can go to work, pays the bills, one washes the dishes, one's out here studying stuff in the desert, foraging, one's writing a novel, this and that. I would totally do that. I would You know, I've said it many times. If I didn't have to sleep, if I could sacrifice, like, make a deal and, like, lose 30 years of my life to never sleep and just be, just prolific, I would take that in a heartbeat. So what better way than just make just replicas of me, and, they, of course, they'd have to follow me. I don't want them to be, like, giving me a run for my money and, stuff like that. I don't want no rebellion. Okay, they're going to be, like, subservient to me. But, yeah, definitely, replicating myself. As for dinosaurs, very cliche answer, but Tyrannosaurus. As much as I love dinosaurs, I study dinosaurs, and I could try to be a cool guy right now and be like, some lesser known creature. I would love to see a Baryonyx or a Suchomimus or, the lesser known creatures. The T-Rex, I mean, God, what a marvel of an animal it must have been. A 9-ton pit bull vulture fusion creature that its teeth can crush through bone. It could smell 10 miles away. Its eyes 4 times better than a hawk's. Like, this thing, what a marvel of evolution. It must have been so beautiful in its weird, ugly way. But, I mean, just, I would love to see it hunt. That majesty of it bringing down this, prey that was, 3-4 tons. And then see its tender side, too, because there's a lot of evidence that points that tyrannosaurs were very nurturing parents, just the way we see in modern day, documentaries how eagles and hawks, the mother and the father, they raise their chicks. Owls raise their chicks. Birds of prey, alligators raise their hatchlings. The mother does. So there's a lot of evidence to suggest that tyrannosaurs raise them. So I just think that animal is just incredible. So anyway, yeah, replicating myself is my power, and T-Rex. Anyways, what about you, Corvo?
Well, I had to go for the superpower. I'd have to go with pyrokinesis.
Mm-hmm.
Just to, light the way.
So fire bending, basically.
Yeah.
Control of fire.
You don't have to wait around for a stove to cook your food. You can just cook it there.
Yep.
Yeah, well, for the dinosaur, I would have to go with Quetzalcoatlus.
Quetzalcoatlus, yeah.
Just be a fucking terror from the sky.
Yeah, Quetzalcoatlus was an animal. It lived in the time of the T-Rex, too, the late Cretaceous. 40-foot wingspan, a big, when everyone thinks of the pterodactyl, it was actually, you're thinking the pteranodon. But the Quetzalcoatlus was much bigger. It was as tall as a giraffe when it was on land walking. So, I mean, these are incredible animals. I am amazed how so many people just are not interested in prehistoric animals and all that stuff. But yeah, Quetzalcoatlus. In fact, there's a lot of evidence that they actively ate baby T-Rexes when the mother was not around. So, yeah, big sky bullies.
Oh, yeah.
Question number 7 comes from Ajax Racing, who asks, have you thought about hog hunting with a knife? And do you have any larger knives like a 12-inch Bowie? I have not thought about hunting a hog with a knife. For those of you who missed it, about 2 videos ago, we went on this grand adventure in South Texas, Corvo and I, and we took down a large boar. And, we processed them. First time bringing down large game. I actually made ham recently. It came out really delicious. We cooked up some tenderloins, really delicious, and I have so much meat. First time doing that, and man, I'm so grateful and honored, and favorite video of the year so far. But I shot him with the rifle. Now, as for me going all, Arnold Schwarzenegger, pulling out my knife and going after a hog, I'm not that hungry. I know somebody's gonna lose respect for me here, but I'm not gonna put my life in danger with just a knife over this large animal with tusks and hooves. And a lot of time they're not even alone, so they're like in little groups. No, I don't think so. I'd much rather go for something much easier to, forage some plants, catch something more simple like a rabbit. If anything, possibly like spear hunting or using an atlatl or a bow if I got the training for it. But by no means am I going to go against, 150-pound aggressive animal with just a knife. No way. Other than that, if I have knives larger than a 12-inch Bowie, No, I don't think I do. I tend to stick to very thin knives. I am testing some 2 Bowie knives from Spyderco for a buddy of mine. You will be seeing that video later on this year, but they're not mine. As soon as that video is over with, they head out back to my buddy Omar. Anything to add to that?
No.
Would you hunt the hog with just a knife?
Maybe just my fist. Yeah.
He'll just by his bare hands, you know. Maybe he'll use his guitar, you know. But yeah, no knife hog hunting for me. I'm not that macho. Question number 8 is gonna be for Cuervo, who asks, MJ in the USA asks, question for El Cuervo Negro: at what age did you start playing guitar? How much did your first guitar cost? And if you could go back in time and give yourself some guitar playing advice when you first started playing, what would you tell yourself?
Well, I first started playing the guitar around the age of 13. My sister was actually the one who had a guitar, and I don't know, I just always thought it was cool. And I would sneak into her room and just play it, and she would get mad until eventually gave it to me. And then I remember also my oldest sister gave me a radio, and it had a plug-in for a guitar, and I was like, that was just like my dream come true right there. And I would record songs from the radio like Zach and Ozzy, and just try to learn to play them. And the first guitar that I bought actually was $200. It was pretty cheap. It was a Squier Fender. Came with a little 20 watt amp. It was okay. I mean, it's nothing too grand, but you get to experience distortion and reverb and things like that, and you just, your mind starts working different sounds and things like that you want to do with it. And if I can go back in time, it would just be like, hey dude, learn the fucking pentatonic scale and learn a little bit of music theory. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm still learning a lot and still looking, and that's about it. But thanks for the specific question. Yeah.
So question number 9 comes from Amber Raglan, who asks, how do you keep heat off of you, or at least temper yourselves from flustering heat waves? Or is it even a trip? Like, nah, I have AC today. Well, she knocked it out of the park from the beginning because we have AC in our truck. So we didn't have an AC for years in my truck, so we would just have to roll the windows down. Eventually that got old, and I just quit being cheap and fixed the AC, and it makes such a big difference. That's one. 2 is we will take breaks, especially during summer. We get hit with 104 degree temperatures even at sunset, so it gets very very tiring. It gets very exhausting to film and reshoot a scene or hiking and stuff like that. So not only do we get overheated, but the camera that we film gets overheated, so we got to take breaks. So often in between scenes we will take breaks, find a shady spot and just cool off, drink water. That brings us to the next thing is, of course, we're always going to have extra water with us, especially in the hot months. And then I usually have this little cool ice chest. I'm actually sitting on it right now. Hold this. I'm actually sitting on it right now, but for day trips, we have this little Shiner Bock ice chest. And, sometimes we'll have some cold drinks in there, whether it's extra water or a couple of beers, a little bit of soda, something like that. And I know somebody's going to say that, caffeine and alcohol will dehydrate. Yeah, but sometimes it's good to have a little treat. So yeah, we'll have extra water or other drinks. And then recently, this is a recent thing, in my hog hunt, I actually hunted with a fellow hunter, acquaintance of mine, and he had diabetes, so he wasn't eating chips and stuff like that. And he told me when we were buying groceries, like, can you buy me some grapes? That's a snack for him. And we bought them, of course we put them in the fridge, And it was just so hot and humid when we would be out there hunting that when we would get back, when we would just snack on the grapes, they were just so refreshing. They just pop in your mouth, and they're tasty, and then they're cool. Really good stuff. So the new cooling off method for me is grapes. So if I'm running errands, and I get home and I'm just hot, I'll just eat a couple of grapes. Really great snack and much healthier than chips. Anything to add, Corvo?
Yeah, well, for me, to stay cool is the infinite uses of a bandana. You wet it, you wrap it around your neck, it keeps you cool. Another thing I learned is you keep it under your hat so it absorbs your sweat. So when you take it off and that little breeze that comes in feels good too. It keeps you cool. And another thing too is if you can wet your ears. And magically it just kind of cools you down. Suddenly, I don't know how that works honestly, but it does work.
The blood vessels in your ears. That's why elephants, when you see them when they're trying to cool off, they'll wet themselves because blood travels to your ears, and when they cool it off with wetness and a little bit of a breeze, it travels that cooled blood down. So yeah, there is scientific proof to wetting the back of your ears. And now down to our last two questions. So question number 8 comes from Broseph Russell, who asks, what is your favorite part of the filming process? My favorite part of the filming process is actually being outdoors, like actually experiencing nature. If it's a video on a fishing, being there fishing, that part's my favorite part. The cooking part, the sitting around the campfire part, it's much more fun than editing. Editing can take like up to 10, 12 hours in front of a computer, and that's really draining for me. As much as I do enjoy editing and I do love to make a story out of a video, it's just not as fun. Mosquitoes are out everywhere now. And then, of course, even less fun is all the driving and the loading gear and unloading gear and all that stuff. So me being out there, actually experiencing nature, working with my gear and all that stuff, that's my favorite part. What about you?
I would have to say my favorite part is the brainstorming part. Just sitting around and talking about it and thinking about different scenarios and how it could fit into a situation and scouting the locations and things like that. And just the part of the filming where like this angle looks good and emphasize on certain colors of the object or the scale or the weather, things like that is just the creative part, I guess you can say. That's it.
Okay, and question number 11, the last question of the day, and we gotta hurry because the sun is setting and we are being attacked by mosquitoes. So, my buddy Scott J. Marshall asks, originally in an old YouTube comment, you said you weren't interested in designing a knife. What was the catalyst that changed your mind and led to the snake eater? And you're right, back when I was much younger, I didn't really feel like I needed to design my own knife. I felt like my needs were met with existing blades. The LT-Rite GNS, for example, was one of the first knives I fell in love with. I loved its versatility. It worked very great for what I was doing at the time. Later on, the Murakans Bowl. Later on, the Green River. And so on. So I never felt comfortable like wanting to just make a knife just to slap my name on it and make a couple bucks. There's nothing wrong with making a couple bucks out of your craft, out of your talents. I'm always going to be for the side of the entrepreneur, the artist. But as long as the design is actually something innovative, you're taking it one step forward, that's what's important for me. So this knife, the Snake Eater, was my answer to the things that I needed, right? I realized as I got older that I like thin knives. I realized that I prefer stainless steel over carbon steel. As you grow past your influences and you find your own identity, that's important. And I realized I wanted a slicer because, once again, I'm cooking a lot. I'm processing game a lot, far more than I'm doing anything else. But I do have a little bit of a Scandi for carving notches and stuff like that, feather sticks, stuff like that. And yeah, so this was my knife design, the Junkyard Fox Snake Eater. You see my logo right there. made by the very talented Woody Smith. You see his logo right there, the woodpecker. And yeah, it's all a matter of confidence. And like I said earlier, you know, when COVID happened, I just got a lot more, I just focused more on Junkyard Fox as a brand, and I thought it was a smart move to have my own knife. Now, I wasn't expecting people if they were going to buy it or not. You know, somebody, if you live in Siberia, this is probably not the knife that you want for you. It's not going to work for your environment, but it works great for me. And one, I'm happy I got the knife that's perfect for what I do. And two, I'm very grateful for everyone else that took an interest in buying my knife. And now you guys are out there rocking some snake eaters. So, yeah, just it was a big part of confidence and finding your own identity.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, folks, so that is about it for us. Sunlight is going down quickly, so lighting is getting bad. And not only that, but we are being annihilated by mosquitoes right now. So we're about to pull up stakes and head on back home. So thank you all so much for those of you who asked us some questions. I hope we got to answer them. Once again, be sure to check out our playlist where we already have several videos and we've probably answered past questions, you know, that you've already asked. With that being said, guys, as always, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Hope you got to know us a little bit better. And we'll see you guys next week with another video. Now go outside and get your boots sturdy.